I challenged myself to clear sulfur in one take. This means we start at the caves with only the starting inventory, which is the father's shirt, the dirk, 60 bullets, and no money. We can't use the amulet, can't die, can't use any stash, and must get a revenge on the witch. The biggest things I was worried about were reliable access to ammo, food, and durability. I had to make sure not to put all my eggs in one basket and have multiple good weapons that use different ammo types. In terms of food, the mushrooms in the caves can help us early on, but our most reliable source was flesh and any food that vendors sold. In terms of durability, the recent Ralphie repair update made guns a lot more durable, so we didn't have to worry about this too much. Without further ado, let's enter the caves. Inside, we collect and keep as many false sulf caps as possible to make explosives in case of emergency and to break any wall cracks. For some reason, I couldn't collect these two. I guess they must be extra false. Anyways, we open our first cracked wall with a nearby explosive barrel. And inside, we get quite lucky and find a tanker helmet, which I was already thinking would be really good against the Emperor for its explosive resistance. We come across stiff leg and immediately realize the importance of buying out ammo whenever we can. We don't have much money right now, so I liquidate an oil and buy as much 9mm as I can. Stiffleg tends to carry a ton of ammo, so we're always happy to see him throughout the run. Shortly after, we get our first gun drop, the Top Clipper. It's barely an upgrade in terms of DPS, but at least we can start using our 5.56 ammo. We also find a scroll that we immediately turn over to Ralphie for money. Ralphie is also a welcome sight since she can repair all our gear for pretty cheap and sells us attachments for our guns. She also always has repair kits to sell, which is good for emergencies later. We find an Arbiter and we drop our Dirk for it, but mostly because it's worth more. We don't have any shotgun ammo and the Top Clipper's doing an okay job for now. We also find a Taylor Marksman, which we use a bit and it does a bit more damage per shot, but we mostly keep it to sell it later. Not too far later, we found our first actual gun, the Vreed. It does chew through ammo pretty quick, but we have a decent reserve of 9mm, so we're happy to use it. We face the game's first mini-boss, which is this elite giant fat goblin. The Vreed takes him down no problem, and then the Mandate of Heaven manifests itself through an Augusta.
Oh my god.
This is the weapon we used to defeat the witch the first time. Its only drawback is that it uses quite a bit of energy cells to shoot. We also find a double nothing oil that I plan to put in the Augusta despite my reservations of removing its chance to drop loot. I intend to use the Augusta to kill bosses anyways, so it should be okay. We keep getting lucky and I find a Corpse Maker, which we drop the Arbiter for. I plan to get the Corpse Maker to handle the assassins that St. Lucia will summon. At this point, we have 3 good weapons for 3 different ammo types, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. We encounter Script right next to this gigantic flat screen TV. No, like, it takes half the inventory, it's huge.
You're ginormous, bro.
We sell it for 7 grand and buy out his ammo. We find an assault scope and put it on the Augusta for trip, but it turns out pretty useful later. We also apply the double nothing oil. We then face Cousin. We use the Augusta for great damage and the Vreed to clear the mud and mobs. I wasn't worried about this fight at all. It's easy without good weapons, and we do have good weapons. I don't even think we take any damage. We make quick work of him. We clear the caves and are rewarded with our only ever visit to the church in this run. The only thing the church really gives us here is all 3 vendors at once, so we make the most of it and go on a bit of a shopping spree. Unfortunately, I realized while editing that we accidentally cheat here, since I didn't notice that we used the money in our stash before the money in our pocket. But since we enter the town with more money left over than we started with in our stash, we technically didn't cheat, so I'm gonna count this anyways. We buy a multi-chamber oil for the Augusta and a sensible oil for the Vreed so that we don't have to worry about its durability too much. We also get a tech support oil that I plan to put in the Augusta later. Just to make sure we didn't cheat, we leave the church with 4791 sulf, but we entered the church with 4309 in the stash. Luckily, we're safe. We go to face the town. So as it turns out, the multi-chamber oil is a little buggy on the Augusta. It doesn't shoot both barrels at once, but it costs 1 extra energy cell to reload it, which is really weird. Honestly, it's a really good trade for double damage. Knowing this, I almost put the tech support on the Augusta, but there's no point since it doesn't actually shoot both barrels at the same time. So we keep it for later. We then find the Scholar out in the wild, and he has a dead center oil. This would give the Augusta -2 spread for a total of 0. This effectively turns it into a perfectly accurate rifle. We of course buy it and then get a late boom oil for more damage. It does reduce bullet speed, but energy weapons have very fast travel time and no drop, so it'd be pretty easy to lead your shots. With that, we face the Cultist Elites. The shotgun doesn't one-shot them, but we don't have any trouble taking them down. I found that the assault scope pairs very well with the dead center oil and gives our shotgun more of a DMR feeling. We clear the elites, and then we're off to the sewers. We're getting to the point where we forego picking up new weapons unless they're very valuable or use a new ammo type. As such, we leave this Gravekeeper behind. We meet the Rat Queen, who I had never seen before. Unsurprisingly, she sells a lot of cheese. We also buy out our ammo and these rubber boots from her. We also buy a frugal oil from the Scholar and apply it to the Vreed. While the sewer section doesn't have a boss, there's a long swimming segment with a bunch of enemies. We decide that discretion's the better part of valor and keep running. We make it out of the sewers, dash through the hedge maze, and book it to the dungeon. Inside, we find a high-cut helmet. It doesn't have explosion resistance, but it does have more armor and a bonus to automatic weapon damage, so we equip it. We consider buying a Scroll of Prism from the Blonde Mage, but it's a little expensive, so we don't. We find an egg, and I get a little stun-locked as to what this is supposed to be. It's a knockoff UGG. When are we getting Tim's in Sulfur? Anyways, we also find a whole pizza which you can cut into 6 slices, which heal you for 100 each. This is enough food for a while. Through this bomb wall, we find a basement armory with turtle shell armor. It has a massive 25 armor, but a 35% move speed penalty. I feel obligated to use it because of its armor, but the speed penalty is definitely going to be annoying. I do feel a lot safer with it on. We face the boss of the dungeons, which is really just a regular enemy, and we reach the castle without incident. The castle is the first area I'm actually worried about. Our best damage dealer can easily miss if we accidentally hit a mask, and the assassins will always be a nerve-wracking enemy. We get a random insurance drop, which is actually crazy, but we're not allowed to die anyways, so it's really just worth a lot of money. We find a Pierre Fusil and I consider it heavily. It uses a new ammo type and is a really reliable weapon, but I don't know what I would drop for it. Coupled with the fact that the Augusta is already a long-ranged weapon, I choose to leave it behind. We apply collateral oil on the Vreed, the double recoil is really manageable on a 9mm weapon, and the bullet penetrate is really good against crowds. We hit our first close call. An assassin gets the jump on us and we backpedal into a mine. Luckily, having a bunch of mines on the floor means that a single grenade will clear the entire hallway. The same kind of encounter happens in the next hall, but I decided to just W key through it instead of fight back. We find a Flock 76, which I had never encountered before. We keep it, considering I have almost 500 shotgun shells, and it would make for a good backup weapon. We proceed to face St. Lucia. We equip the Corpse Maker for the assassins, and the Augusta for our main damage. The Augusta does a quarter of her health in a single shot. Our main damage limitation is her changing phases. Unsurprisingly, the fight goes without a hitch. She doesn't even have time to summon her assassins. We once again receive the Mandate of Heaven through a Scroll of Explosions as a reward. This would make the Augusta go completely nuclear, but we need to rank it up first. We proceed into the forest. We start by test running the Flock and notice that its spread is quite terrible. I also somehow have trouble with the medium craws as I forgot that they block while they're not jumping. We also have another close call with a flock of craws, mostly due to my own incompetence, but one launches themselves out of bounds. We get a lucky break. We encounter Grossberg and cook up an absolute Taco Tuesday feast, which is enough food for a while. We then find a Matrix oil. It's tough to tell what this oil does just by its description, but I read plus 300% projectiles for only a 30% damage cost, and I tell myself it can't be that bad. I put it on the Flock, and I'm beginning to believe. The bullets float just like that iconic Matrix scene, and it actually allows me to preemptively set up a curtain of bullets for any charging enemies. Unironically, I'm really happy with this oil. We found running shoes, or rather a running shoe, which has a really nice sprint speed boost, helping us offset the turtle shell's movement penalty. Shortly after, we find a wingman. This is a very nice option for my horde of 7.62 ammo, but I'm not sure what to drop. The Corpse Maker is currently my least effective weapon, doing less damage than the Vreed for a more expensive ammo type. In hindsight, it's a no-brainer. Welcome aboard, wingman. We come across a cemetery, which I haven't actually seen before. There's just a bunch of ghosts here. We proceed through and fight Terror Bomb. Once again, the Augusta is quite the boss killer. The Flock is quite effective too, at the cost of a very short range, but it's really good at taking out the Craw. Nevertheless, the Flock gets us the kill, and we get some spoils to sell later and head into the fortress. At this point, I'm mostly concerned with finding a balance between leveling up my Augusta and keeping enough ammo for the Witch. We find a plate carrier, and I think my reaction here speaks for itself. Plate carrier, you're not 25 armor.
You're 30 armor. Oh my god.
We proceed through the baths without incident, hoping to find a vendor or more energy ammo as we're running really low. Food is becoming a bit worrisome too, but we know the desert has cactus, which is an okay food source. Thankfully, we find Scrip and he has a bit of ammo for us. Climbing out of the baths, we have our next extremely close call. I ate half of our inventory in panic just to make sure we regen fast enough not to die.
Oh, no. I'm gonna eat like literally everything. Just to make sure I don't die.
That's what I said.
Holy shit.
We barely survive and make it through to the boss with a lot less food than I'd like. For the Emperor's first phase, we use the Wingman since I'm certain the Augusta would have been overkill on the nodes and would waste damage. Despite being fully unupgraded, the Wingman does great work here, even though I have a bit of trouble hitting him near the end of the first phase. In the second phase, the Augusta doesn't do as much as I'd hope, mostly meaning I'm not doing half his health bar in one shot, but it's still a very respectable amount of damage. My running shoe breaks, making me feel very slow, but nevertheless, we get the kill. He opens up the way to the desert, we grab an insurance for money and a Duhar, also for money because the Wingman does more damage per shot. We press on into the desert. We immediately rank up the Augusta and apply the explosion scroll. I can't really tell the difference right now, but we'll see once we face a boss. At this point, we have exactly 0 energy cells, so my goal for the desert is to get as much cactus and energy cells as possible without fighting too much. I hope to find a vendor, but they're a bit rare in the desert. One of the elites we encounter turns into a hedge monster, which is not a killable enemy, so we actually have to haul ass through this area. We find Scrip again.
Oh my god, you are a sight for sore eyes, my fellow friend.
We use a toolkit on the running shoe. We also find a scholar, add some damage to the Wingman, and then less ammo consumption and penetrate on the flock. The rest of the desert is quite chaotic. I run into a dead end, I get tossed by a cyclone, but I collect a good amount of cactus and a decent amount of energy ammo. We face Desert Claws. The Augusta completely ruins his day, and the flock does really well if we can get an angle on him. He calls in airstrikes, but we catch him with his pants down and shred his health bar. During his sniping phase, we hit the most disgusting counter snipe for a quarter of his health bar. Soon enough, he ego challenges us, but he's no match for the flock. He drops a ferryman, which you take as a precaution just in case we run out of everything else. With that, we go beyond the veil to face the final boss. On the walk up, I definitely feel a bit nervous. I'm confident in my weapons, but I don't have that much food and I've only beaten this boss one other time. But we're here now, so there's no turning back. We pick up the amulet and start the fight. The Augusta does maybe 3% of her health on a hit, which isn't bad, but it's not amazing. The flock does significantly better if I can get in range, which happens in this phase where she just walks up to you. I also use the flock to get rid of any crawls that are around, but we get most of our damage off in the laser phases. We start running out of food, but we're close to winning. I don't want to mess around with the explosive fades because it insta-killed me once. We barely get any damage off in this last laser phase, so I hyper-focus her in her enemy spawning phase. A bunch of really bad cross spawn, but we just gotta land one more hit.
I'm losing it. Oh, I didn't lose it. Oh my god. Oh, what a run.
We make chase, but fate gets the better of us, and we crash. Haven't I been here before? Thanks for watching. If Sulfur seems interesting, I urge you to check it out on Steam. I'll put a link to the store page in the description. I'd like to revisit it once it comes out of early access, but even as of now it's a really complete package. If you want to see more of me, I streamed this attempt live on twitch.tv/RobbieRigatoni.